Welcome back to Two Beers with the Band podcast. My name is Harkos. I just edit this thing over here. But you are watching right now part 2 of the great interview right here with Joel McCann, aka Keyelement. If you haven't already watched part 1, make sure you go back and watch that. That way you know what all happened. So when you start watching this episode here in a couple seconds, you'll be able to pick right back up where you left off. And don't forget to like, share, follow, subscribe, all that great stuff to Two Beers with the Band podcast. And support every single artist that you see here on Two Beers with the Band podcast. Chris goes out of his way to not only help out and interview these artists and try to showcase their talents and who they are as an independent artist or a collective, as the individuals, but also he goes out of his way to try to promote their music at all costs. So make sure you support Two Beers with the Band podcast and especially support all of these artists that come by, and make sure you never miss a great episode. Speaking of great episodes, let's get back to this great episode with Joel McCann, aka Keyelement. Here's part 2.
Like, this is the biggest show of the year for everybody. So if you have a spot in that, that's a really important deal. And so since I was one of the main techs, studio guys and live sound engineers at the school, so I got to be a big part of that show. And the fact that they also gave me a moment on the show to perform as well was... It was probably 2 or 3 months ago at this point.
So I haven't seen this.
I know. I need to make it very clear that this is here.
Well, you need to let everyone know where they can find this, because this is beautiful.
Oh, thank you so much.
It really is, and that is a feather in your cap for real. And I think this needs to be promoted over some of the other stuff that
Absolutely.
And in conjunction.
Correct. And that's the thing, though, is that I forgot, too, is like this on the bio page that I had at my last job, this was linked to it. But it slipped my brain that, like, hey, people don't see this, because I've done it, but I'm not the one who's looking up myself, So you forget these small little details.
Well, do you think... you said you want to build your brand. Mm-hmm. That right there is a big building block in your brand. Do you think you need to be cattle prodded to put things out there like this? Or have you done so many things that you've just kind of forgotten? Or maybe you don't want to focus on this because maybe you feel like, it's not that important. Because this is very important, I think.
It is important. I think it's partially my own negligence of not getting it on my own channel, because this is a part of the school's channel. But I agree with you that this should be now it's in front of live audience. So
it's part of the school's channel, but
it needs to be on my channel.
They weren't sitting up there in the tux under the lights.
Yeah,
doing that. That was you.
Yes. Yeah. On top of that, too, that was the craziest show that I've ever done, because not only did I perform, I actually ran I actually got to run a huge part of the show behind the scenes. So, funny enough, I actually had an in-ear pack just like this, one for performing, and then I had a headset, a tech headset, and I was triggering the audio cues and the tracks for this whole show, because this was the President's Gala. What they do every year is they put together an amalgamation of music that the president of the school really, really appreciates, and all of the donors come in, and there's, a couple, there's like 1,000 plus, maybe 2,000-3,000 people that show up total. And like, this is the biggest show of the year for everybody. So if you have a spot in that, that's a really important deal. And so since I was one of the main techs, studio guys and live sound engineers at the school, I was in the background basically with this board that I press a button and it cues all the lights, all of the tracks that were created in a program called Ableton, and the performers are playing along with that. And so in their in-ears, there's the click track that's happening, and then through the main speakers, the extra stuff that we don't have, like the extra instruments that we couldn't have because of COVID at the time, and then the vocalists that are on stage, performing along with everything with their in-ears. So I got to be a big part of that show, and the fact that they also gave me a moment on the show to perform as well was such an incredible experience.
Why is that not front? I mean, the first thing when I Google your name or your stage name, or I pull you up on YouTube, why is that not the first thing that comes up? And you just told me you did more than just sit there and perform.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you are really slighting yourself by not having that up there and having a huge description of exactly everything else you did. Mm-hmm. In that show. Why is there not what you just told me? I mean, seriously. How many?
You're right. I mean, there's no excuse. There's no excuse. It's
that few minutes right there just gave me a whole new respect for you as an artist, as an engineer, as someone who hustles. How many different things were you doing for free? Like we talked about earlier.
Yeah. I didn't get paid anything for that.
We're gonna give you credit for this. We're gonna put your name down on this little pamphlet that is sitting out here. That these 1,000 people. I mean, how many people were at that show?
There were 2 shows. So, and it was a full house for both of them. And I think our auditorium seated, it seats more, but we had to limit seating because of COVID, obviously. But I think there were still roughly 1,500 people in there each show. So it was about 3,000.
You perform for 1,500 people.
Maybe.
I'm just saying. Have you thought about this? Compared to
I don't think I've thought about it in this way before, because I have, I'm sitting there. I was telling you what was going through my head, of like the other things, like, oh, what if I just slam the keyboard?
Well, how many other people have done this?
I don't know. I don't know to this extent.
There were 1,500 people there, give or take.
Give or take, yeah.
And this, I can't find this anywhere on Instagram, on YouTube.
Oh, I think I have it on Instagram, but maybe it's buried under all my other stuff. You didn't see it?
I mean, maybe I need to dig a little deeper, but guess what? A majority of the people out there aren't going to do a real deep dive. But if I read your artist bio and I see sound engineer, producer, blah, 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 this and that, I see more than just keyboardist, studio engineer, producer. That's what your bio says.
Yeah.
That one performance alone encompasses a lot more
right
than
yes
that.
Yes.
And that was one performance that you weren't being paid for.
Mm-hmm.
That should be the first thing that shows up every time I Google your name or your stage name.
Right.
That should be first. That alone will promote you and build a brand more than anything else, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's a good.
I'm sorry if I'm giving him bad information.
No, this is.
Please cut this.
This
out.
is this is correct.
Am I not being honest?
You're being.
You don't even have to promote yourself. Just put that out there and give a description.
Mm-hmm.
Number of people, number of times, and then let them watch it and make their own decision.
Yeah, absolutely. You are correct. You are correct.
Then why don't you do it?
You know, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think I've really thought about this performance very much. Because I'm like, oh, I gotta write some other stuff too. And this was also, no, you're absolutely right in the fact of this should be front and center. And like I said earlier, I had this on my bio as an employee for Sweetwater, just showing my musicianship, and this is where people were like, if they wanted to see my credentials as a keyboardist, this is what showed up. I don't have that anymore, and I haven't thought about that being front and center on my like socials and everything. And I just realized, like, you're pointing this out to me in real time, like, this needs to be there. Like, I need to have this video splayed on my channel, so that way it can bring the traction that it needs to lift.
Well, the video alone is a beautiful piece, but why don't you give us all the background in behind it?
Mm-hmm.
What you just told me about, oh, I was doing this, and this. The multiple hats you're wearing during a live performance in front of a certain number of people who carry a certain amount of clout.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't some, I'm going to do some little beer fest in some podunk town, where they're going to have a couple of breweries around and I got to do this and that. I mean, that right there was a big deal. Huge deal.
It was a big deal. That is the biggest show that I've done so far.
I was fixing to say, have you done anything bigger than that?
No, not yet.
Then why is that not front and center?
You're right. You're right.
Good gosh. I'm telling you, if I did that, if you Googled my name, that would be the first thing every time, without question. I mean, it just would be.
Yeah.
And you want to do brand building,
mm-hmm.
take everything you do associated with music, put that out there and make damn sure that you get credit for it.
Mm-hmm.
Every time.
Right.
Even if you only do production, a third of the time. Put something out there. I produced this. I didn't play on it,
mm-hmm.
but I produced it. I played on this, but I didn't produce it. Someone else did. Give them props.
Mm-hmm.
You never know. People may follow them and say, you know what? Hey, who's this guy over here? Association.
Mm-hmm.
What we were talking about earlier. Building all these contacts. Even right now. It's all about contacts.
Yes, it is.
Put your name in every single thing you do and make damn sure people like me can find it.
Yes. Yes, you are absolutely right. There is something tricky about it, I will say. When you have your name out, because my full name is on this, and not my stage name. but sometimes if you don't have enough content out, it doesn't bring your name to the top. And I think that is something that I need to work on, is like I need just a little bit more content.
You need a lot more content.
I need a lot more
I
content.
mean, I'm just putting it out there.
You're
I've
right.
been looking for everything. And that one video right there overshadows a bunch of the stuff.
Yeah, it does. It does. That is the most like professional, because I mean it's a big deal. They bring in the LED wall, they bring in the cameras and everything, things that they don't even have normally, and so that it was definitely a very important moment. And you're totally right. It should be front and center and ready to go. I mean, it's even I think it's my profile page on my YouTube channel, but I don't actually have the video to back it up. There's a lot of judgment coming from that side of the table right now. I think it's warranted. I'm not gonna lie.
Not a lot of judgment. Just saying, man, come on.
Well, thank you. This is very flattering, and I appreciate it. But you do make an excellent point. Like that is something that should be front and center to display what I can do, and
Well,
I think that's a great.
Since obviously I just saw that, what else can you do that I don't know about? I saw you working with a guitar on Instagram. I saw some drums.
Yeah.
Do we need okay, tell me about that.
Okay. Well, so I bought, I've been trying to explore other instruments as of lately, just because I've only been stuck in keyboard forever, and other instruments just didn't make sense to me whatsoever. So, and I didn't have time for other instruments in college either. I think that was frustrating. When I went to Sweetwater, which for anybody who's not aware of what it is, it's a music company that you sell over the phone music equipment and instruments. So guitars, keyboards, drums, live sound equipment, you name it, Sweetwater sells it.
What's the website?
Sweetwater.com.
Okay.
And the whole shtick of Sweetwater is that you have a dedicated engineer that helps you with your, I want to say like musical journey, but they help supply the right gear for what you're doing as a musician. So if you're a guitarist, you have an engineer who has been a guitarist for many years and knows all the pedals, all the amps, everything that's going to enhance your abilities, and just having a professional on your phone ready to go. For me, I was a keyboard specialist. I mean, you're a specialist in pretty much all areas. You have to be, and you're trained for 3 months through some intense schooling that they have there. So you go through every single product category, and you have to pass some really, really intense tests in order to be able to work there. They pay you for it, but some people get kicked out because they can't pass. But my specialty that I had was keyboard. So a lot of my sales engineer friends, they would send people who played keyboard to me, and I would just recommend them the best thing for their setup. And the other thing about it too is just being honest with them too, like saying, somebody's looking at or trying to find a keyboard for their kid. And I could easily say, oh, well, you could get this $4,000, keyboard for them. And like, that's not how Sweetwater operates. They are there to say, well, your kid's going to outgrow this at some point, or we need to figure out if, they are going to stick with something like this. Let's find the best investment that's going to be good enough for them, but maybe like launch them into a new spot. So a lot of the times I would almost say, hey, get this smaller keyboard first just to see if they like playing. And then if they continue to move into this, then we can get them something that's a little bit more professional. So that's just an example. You know, we worked from people who were professionals in the industry to people who were just starting. And it was just us being guides to those people as best as we possibly can. So
would you say you're an expert in keyboards?
yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
So is that on your Instagram page?
It says keyboardist.
Wow.
I see the dilemma, Chris.
I mean, you are not promoting yourself at all. You're really... Why? Why are you not? I mean, you have the talent. You have the skill. You have the knowledge at your age. Why are you not jumping out there? I mean, you're in Nashville. But you have got to do everything you can do to promote yourself.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Why,
Right.
So why are you not?
I may need to hit up our sponsor for today.
There is no doubt. There is no doubt. There is no doubt at all. Trust me, if I'm giving you advice, I mean, just being real. If I'm giving you advice, the advice he's got so much better. And he knows how to do it, when to do it, how to set things up. I mean, he this is what he does.
Right.
I'm just saying, why am I not finding you in these places?
Mm-hmm.
He can teach you how to get in those places and do it the right way. And do it in a way that's going to promote you.
Mm-hmm.
And show you a way for you to continue down those roads and what lanes you need to jump into.
Right.
So, I mean, wow, I've learned so much over the last 2 hours about you that I didn't know.
Hey, that's just what happens when people talk. And
Exactly.
I've got to learn about all the shows that you got to watch too, and you got to give yourself some credit too, because I feel like you are more well versed in just the art of music. Like, even though that you say that you're not a player necessarily, you have such an in-depth knowledge of music and such a connection to it. Like, I personally feel like you are a musician in a way. You know, it's.
Well, you being the professional, what instrument should I play?
I could see you as a bass player.
It's funny you say that.
Is that what you play?
No, I can't play anything.
Come on.
But
Come on.
I do enjoy a good stand-up 4-string bass.
Come on.
If someone can play it and do it well.
Come on. Okay.
I think that is a show in and of itself.
So this
a fretless bass.
is something. Here's another thing. So we were talking about the instruments that I was trying to learn and everything. I want to tell you about this. You got to give yourself some credit too, because I feel like you are more well versed in just the art of music. Like, even though that you say that you're not a player necessarily, you have such an in-depth knowledge of music and such a connection to it. Like, I personally feel like you are a musician in a way. You know, it's.
Well, you being the professional, what instrument should I play?
I could see you as a bass player.
It's funny you say that.
Is that what you play?
No, I can't play anything.
Come on.
But
Come on.
I do enjoy a good stand-up 4-string bass.
Come on.
If someone can play it and do it well.
Come on. Okay.
I think that is a show in and of itself.
So this
a
is
fretless bass.
this is something. Here's another thing. So we were talking about the instruments that I was trying to learn and everything. I want to tell you about this. Last year, for the year of 2024, I had a New Year's resolution. I couldn't play any stringed instruments. It just did not work. Like going from keyboard where you press buttons to playing strings just does not work at all. My family's really musical, and my mom sings and she plays guitar, and my sister plays violin and cello, and my dad said he claims that he just isn't able to play music at all. But he got really interested in playing the bass because he wanted to play with my mom, while she played guitar. And in 2023, he started to get into some circles where he was trying to play bass. He had a bass that somebody had lent him, and he was trying to play it and just didn't have any confidence whatsoever. It was like, I just can't do it. I can't do it. It's not what I want to. I just can't figure it out. And so I said, okay, well, he keeps on talking about wanting to play bass. What can I do to get him, because the answer is practice, right? Like that's for anybody who wants to learn proficiency in any craft that they do, is just practice. And there's other steps to it, like getting a teacher and some guidance, but it's mainly just sitting there with your craft. And so I said, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And at the time I'm working at Sweetwater, so I get good deals on the products that we sell. So I secretly bought him a really nice bass, just something that was going to take care of him. I didn't tell him about it. And come Christmas time, I say, I print up a little contract that says, "Dear Dad, let's play bass together every day of the year for 5 minutes. Just only 5 minutes. You just pick up the bass and play it. It doesn't matter what you play. It doesn't matter what you learn, what you do with it. If you're just hitting strings or just practicing one string, whatever you're doing, as long as you have it in your hands for 5 minutes, that's it. I will do this with you because I want to get better at the bass too. I want to figure out stringed instruments." So he signs it. He's just like, this isn't a Christmas gift, like what is this? He signs it, dates it, and then I pull out the bass and give it to him, and he's really, really excited about it and very thankful. And so from January 1st, 2024 to December 31st, 2024, both of us played bass every day for 5 minutes. There was only I think there's 3 days that I missed. And then if we didn't have the bass because we were traveling or whatever, we were supposed to watch videos of learning how to play bass or techniques that you could do. But it's not supposed to substitute, actually having the instrument in your hand. My point for saying all of this is I now feel like a confident bass player. And the only reason I can do that is because I have previous music experience. And I was able to learn it pretty quickly. But my dad went from not being able to put lines together to creating his own bass lines and figuring out the patterns of where he's supposed to be. And he still struggles with it just a little bit, and he's self-conscious about it. But he's in a much better position. 5 minutes, times 365, that's a big number, right?
Well, of course, but
how many minutes to your practice out of the year? So I don't know if that's something that you ever want to explore. That's a way to do it.
So you're telling me that if I spend 5 minutes every single day with the bass, that I could be proficient enough at the end of 1 year to maybe get up on stage and play it? Not Bridgestone, but I could get up on stage at some of the smaller venues in Nashville and play bass.
I would say yes. And I'm pretty confident about that because for me, again, like I said, I played that piano piece. I couldn't play anything on any stringed instrument. It didn't make any sense to me whatsoever. And I just said, I just need to get familiar with this instrument. I need to understand what's happening. And the more I played and the more that I studied, like I said, okay, well, I want to learn this one bass line. I want to figure out how this works. You start, like, if you can match the pitch to it, a whole new world opens up. It takes a long time, but there were times too where my dad would be like, I just can't figure this out. I can't figure this out. And I'd go home for the weekend and I would just show him, you're right there. Just play this, and then do this and move your hand this way. And he would literally start doing it. He's like, oh wait, yeah. This and he's so humble and so self-conscious about playing, but he is literally creating these little bass lines on his own from having no teacher or instruction, just from holding the bass for 5 minutes a day. And you expedite the process if you play for longer. The 5 minutes is to just say, hey, I'm going to do this every day. I don't have an hour to give of practice every single day. Like for most of our lives, that's a big investment. But the 5 minutes, like everybody has 5 minutes. Everybody has just that little bit of time just to say, I'm going to play this real quick and then I'm going to bed. Right. I had to do that so many times where I got home at the end of work and then I had a bunch of other chores to do. All of a sudden it's 1 a.m. I need to be up at 7 a.m. I'm like, oh, I forgot to play bass. Let me do this real quick. And you play for 5 minutes, the timer goes off, and I go to bed. But the 5 minutes, in the times that you do have some inspiration, that 5 minutes can sometimes turn into 30 or an hour or 2 hours. And you open the door because you're playing every day. And that's where some of the magic happens. So, it's if you take that time, it's definitely possible to do it in a year and to be on stage. Especially if there's like a set list of like go play like a 3-song set and you just learn those, you pull up those 3 songs like on YouTube and just follow the patterns that they're doing. Once you have those patterns down, that opens up new patterns for other songs. Like you're like, oh, I remember this structure from this previous song that I learned. Well, that makes this easier. It's like learning a language. So,
are you proficient at bass?
I wouldn't say.
Okay, well let me
Proficient at bass. What does that mean? What would that mean?
Let me restructure the question. Can you play bass?
Yes.
Okay.
Now I can.
Okay. So 5 minutes a day for 1 year, you go from not understanding an instrument to being able to tell me I can play it.
I think so.
That's solid.
I think so.
Pretty solid.
Yeah, you practice. I mean,
5 minutes a day.
5 minutes a day, and that was something I wanted to test for myself. I could not figure out how any stringed instrument worked. Guitar made me upset. Bass didn't make any sense because the strings were too thick and they hurt my fingers.
No pain, no gain.
No pain, no gain. I played every day. And now I have calluses on my fingers And if there is I can't do things that are crazy advanced necessarily, because I mean that does take a lot longer, but I now understand the fundamentals, or figure out how to play along with other people if I need to. You know, I got to play some jam sessions where I was playing the bass and I was like, I'm actually playing. I'm actually contributing to what's happening around me. And it was one of the greatest feelings ever.
Do you think it makes it easier for you to write a song now knowing another instrument that is pretty much key to a lot of music? It gives you maybe a slightly different take on looking at a song.
Because I learned the bass, my keyboard got better. My keyboard playing ended up getting so much better because now I'm listening to the bass in songs when I wasn't doing that before. But now it's piqued my interest, and I'm sitting here thinking like, okay, well, this is what they're doing. This is how they're moving on the fretboard, or I'm watching them in a video that they're doing. And now that that's in my ear and I'm hearing how they're structuring their songs, I'm able to replicate that on the bass or the keyboard by just like knowing the notes that they're doing. And like, so it's restructured the way that I'm able to play my other instrument, which is just phenomenal. And I'm kind of starting to do this with drums too, because that's helping with my rhythm, but I'm not doing the same exercise yet for that. But yeah, it's opened up a whole new world from just 5 minutes a day. Like consistent 5 minutes a day.
So would you say, or would you tell other artists, I think you should do this? I mean, it's 5 minutes.
I think everybody should try it at some point. It's a lot to ask though, because it's every day of the year. You know, some people, you know, when people do a routine or an exercise or something like that, they're like, oh, we'll do this 5 days out of the week. You know, I made sure that in my contract with my dad, we did it every single day. There was not a day you took a break. You played every day. And it made a huge difference. And the reason I did that, it's also for me, like if you're better at like keeping yourself accountable to 5 days and then taking 2 days break, that's fine. To me, if I take any type of break, I lose my consistency. So I just tell myself, you have to do it every day. It's non-negotiable.
Well, no, I mean, that's fair. Everybody has a different way of learning, but I think 7 days a week, there is no break. That is constant in your head, on your mind. Even if you're not thinking about it, you're thinking about it.
Mm-hmm. It's throwing yourself into the fire it's a huge commitment.
Well, that's awesome that you did something like that. But on your bio, I don't see bass player anywhere in there. I don't see any shorts of you playing bass.
Yeah, that's right.
So
who
we
would know
need
that?
to work on that too.
I guess we do need to work on that. The guitar video that you watched was actually because of my bass playing. Because guitar is just the most frustrating instrument to me imaginable before I did anything bass related. And now that I have an understanding of this one-stringed instrument, it has now opened up the ability for me to play guitar, which is now, that's kind of what I've been doing lately is, wow, this instrument is actually now exciting because I have some form of understanding, because the bass was the bridge for me to be able to play this other instrument. It was the prerequisite for me to go from keyboard to this instrument that I wasn't able to even create a line from. So, yeah, I don't know. If you want to be if you want to give it a try, maybe even do it for a month and just see what happens.
You talking about them or me?
I'm talking about anybody who's listening.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll see if the audience will draw up a contract with you. If someone was okay, what if someone out there wanted to draw up a contract with you about playing guitar for 1 year, 5 minutes a day?
I would say that it would work with any. Oh, like I would do it with them?
Yeah. Would you be open to signing the same contract with someone else about a different instrument that you did with your dad? I mean, an instrument that applies to your music, not some crazy, Yeah,
like the theremin.
Yeah. Okay, sure. That.
So my immediate answer is like, yes, I would love to do that. But then at the same time, it's like with just anybody, But I got to put my mouth where the money is, or the money where the mouth is.
Well, it was just a question. I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah, I would say. I mean, again, the reason I did that is so that way I could, I created an accountability for my dad, so he wouldn't feel isolated and in doing it by himself. And then we got to share our experiences of like what we learned together. So if somebody else was like, hey, I want to get better at this instrument, would you do this with me? I would give it a shot again. And it's so valuable to learn an instrument that way. And guitar is the next step, pretty much. So if somebody said guitar, I'd be like, okay.
Guitar is the next step. All right, well, I'm out of beer, so...
I gotta finish mine.
Well, you don't have to, but something that I love to ask artists is, what are 2 questions that you've never been asked that you would like to be asked? And what are the answers to those questions?
Those are good questions. I feel like that this will contradict some of the stuff that I said earlier about playing in front of a lot of people. But a question that I would love to be asked one day, I'm not saying now, but it would probably be, would you like to go on tour at some point? And I would probably say yes, just because I need to experience that at least once. Just the bus,
right?
Taking your gear, setting it up, and exploring new places and new venues. At the same time, that's really scary to me. That's some of my hesitation of like, you have to be on your game in order to be able to sustain the entire band with what you're playing.
Right.
So that would be a question that I'd be really, really excited to hear at some point. I just don't think that's in this stage of my life yet. I feel like I have work to do. Obviously, there's work to do. I have to promote myself a little bit better.
A lot better.
And that's why we have our sponsor today.
Exactly.
And the second question, don't know. I feel like that this is the one that would stump me. You know, as a musician, good grief. It's not necessarily a question that I would want to hear all the time, because I don't know if I'd always have a good answer for it. But what inspires, like, I would want to hear somebody say, you know, what inspires you to keep making music. And I don't know, this is like one of those times where it is hard to continuously like go back and go through the process of writing out lyrics, writing out musical lines, recording them, making mistakes, fixing those mistakes, mixing, mastering, posting, promoting. You know, what is inspiring me to do that? And I think the answer to that is the reason that I'd stick with something so difficult for me personally is because I want to make a mark on the world. I want to have a little bit of a legacy and contribute a little bit of myself that can stay with people forever.
It's fair. I like it. No, I mean, I like it. So many people say the same thing. I want to make songs that 20 years from now, people are listening to and enjoy.
Yeah.
And it means something to them even after I'm gone.
Yeah. And I'm not even saying I don't want to shake the world with it. You know, if it does, sure. It's just I want it to be there for somebody to discover and to leave a little bit of a legacy of this is me. This is what I do for fun.
Well, I mean, it's a beautiful statement, but you're going to need a little promotion to get there. Am I right?
Yes, that's right.
All right, well, we shall work on his promotion and getting him to put things out there. But if people want to, I think we've already gone over it, but let's do it one more time.
Sure.
If someone wants to find anything you've put out there or get in contact with you, how do they need to do it? Where
Sure.
they need to go?
You can find me on YouTube at Keyelement. You can find me on Instagram at Keyelement_music. Or you can email me if you want to at officialkeyelement@gmail.com.
All right, so in closing, we're going to work on his promotion. So hopefully next time we sit down.
We'll see how it goes. Actually, that'd be a cool little segue of before and after if we like a year's time in between.
Okay, well, no, let's do shorter.
Shorter than that. Shorter than that. We'll see what happens after that.
All right,
Go through the
guys.
process.
Hope you enjoyed this episode of Two Beers with the Band. And we're out.
Thank you so much. That was so much fun.
I had a blast.
This is great.
I'm going to have half of one.
Oh, hell yeah.
A little bit different.
You're gonna have half of one? Yeah, we'll do a little splitsies and we'll do a little recap.
So, I mean, do you think it went well?
Oh, this was so much fun. I always get worried about my answers and me just kind of rambling and saying stuff and contradicting myself, but this is so much fun.
I mean, for me, what I enjoy is learning something. I always learn something.
Mm-hmm.
And the process of music. And it's a process. It's not just sit down, write a song, and go.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it just doesn't
It's
work.
not that way. It's not that way.
And especially in this town, the process of music is so long and so difficult that I learn something new every time I talk to an artist. And even if no one else seems to care, I learn something new. And it gives me such an appreciation for the people in this town who are trying to make it and do it on their own. They're not signing contracts with these big companies. They're out there, I've got to do this my way.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so unique to hear such different perspectives. And that's what I enjoy about this more than anything else. So,
Mm-hmm.
I hope that other people enjoy it as well.
Yeah, I think this is such a great environment to, because when this is another thing too that I found, the answer usually lies within yourself. And so when you set something up like this, yes, you're learning, from other musicians, but I also get to learn as well. And I think that's such a wonderful coexistence of, already you've told me, because I don't think I've had anybody dive into my social medias or YouTube. I wasn't aware that was going to happen. And I didn't realize I needed to have that prepared in any way. And you've already pointed out, hey, this stuff isn't here.
Well, it's not there.
Yeah, I know. And it totally went over my head. Just out of the blue, and now I feel like a silly goose.
Well, I didn't point that out to make you feel.
No, it's right, because if I'm sitting here and I'm trying to be a musician and nobody can find what I do, what am I doing?
Well, that's when I have these conversations with people, I try to find out what I can about them. And if I have questions along the way, I try to keep those in mind and ask them, well, you keep kind of promoting this. Why do you do that? Because I don't understand. Or it seems like you're starting to kind of drift into maybe a different genre of music. Or, I've seen a handful of music videos that you put out for songs, and it seems like they're starting to get a little more high production. Or, explain that to me. Because there are so many musicians that are out there that want to do music videos. Or someone has said, you need to put music videos out there, and they don't know what to do. And it just seems like, I don't want to do that. I'll do some shorts and call that a video. That's not how things work. No. So I want to get the information from the person who has done it and maybe pass that along to people who are thinking about it. Oh, well, they said this. Well, we can do that.
Right.
And maybe they step their video game up a little bit, or their shorts game, or, I've been working on these instruments, or I've been working with these people. Okay, well, tell us about that. Because your fans who are out there, that they don't know that.
Right.
And that's the reason I do what I do, is to learn. Ultimately, that's it, just to learn.
That's such a noble cause too, just to gain understanding from multiple perspectives and everything. That's a really, really great thing. And again, when you ask those questions, it challenges the people who are in this seat, like the musicians of like, I think we forget about the process a little bit. And then we have to recall it and go through, step by step by step by step. And then it helps us remember like, oh yeah, actually these things that we do is pretty significant. And there's a lot of work that goes into it. Because to us, we're just like, well, we just have to practice. We just have to put this out there and then be done with it and forget about it. It'll go wherever it needs to go. So it's like, yeah, but what are you specifically doing with it, with this?
Or what do you think maybe I should have covered a little more in depth?
I don't know. I felt it was really natural, Like, I was kind of worried about the camera at first, especially when we were like, welcome, like, here it is. But then once we started talking, it was like, I kind of forgot about it a little bit. So, or I forgot about the camera, so I was just like, hey, let me yap.
That's actually what I want. Because it helps me forget about it as well.
Really?
Yeah, the first few times I did this, ooh.
Really?
Yeah.
Like what? Like what made you self-conscious about it?
Even though it's being recorded, I kind of felt like it was live. Mm-hmm. And those points where an artist just spews absolute gold. And and they finished talking, and I didn't have a comeback for it, or I didn't have another question. And there was that silence. And then that silence made me even more
nervous. Yeah. I
And
know exactly what you're talking about.
And then that silence turns into 2 times the silence.
Yes.
And
yeah,
then
it's deafening.
Now I'm just looking for something. And then there's 3 times the silence. And then I just blurt something out, and it's like, wow, buddy, you didn't even give them a blinker. You just changed lanes. And you just set them up. And it wasn't natural. And this conversation that we had, and the conversations that I've had recently, do seem a little more natural. And it's kind of like, you know what? I'm just going to go with it. Mm-hmm. Whatever happens, happens. Win or lose. It's almost to the point of now where it's like, you know what? What I'm doing is not for them, it's for me.
Yeah. And that's a genuine response. And when you're genuine, it comes across on camera. That's something that's extremely important. Because if you're doing something that's like artificial, people can sense that. But the fact that we both, like, if you forgot about that we were on camera and I forgot that we were on camera, that's a really great sign. That means that we captured something that was real.
Oh, yeah.
So now I know for certain that I'm going to, if like I watch back on the podcast, I'm going to be like, what was I saying? I'm being so silly here.
Well, it's part of it. I mean, music is serious.
It is.
But there's got to be fun. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If it's so regimented, that's not fun.
Yes.
And if it's not fun, why do it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And, again, like what I was saying, too, about, you asking very particular questions. Because, I don't get asked these questions every day. So it really helps kind of reorient the way that I think about, hey, like, what do I actually want to do? Like, how do I want to further myself in this area? Because there's so many times where I feel really self-conscious about it, of like, what am I doing? What am I actually trying to go for? And it's questions like these that allow me to say, this is why I'm doing this. This is the process. This is how it's done. I've done it before. Let's continue doing it. You know, this, and I'm explaining it almost to myself of like, this is what needs to happen.
Well, what needs to happen is that video I watched earlier needs to be front and center.
Thank you so much. That was so flattering of you to say, you know, all of those nice things. So
Well,
I appreciate that.
like I said earlier, I want the truth. If you don't like something, say you don't like it. If you do. All the stuff we went over before I turned the camera on. Because that's what I'm going to do.
Mm-hmm.
If I watched that video and I just thought it was trash, I wouldn't say anything unless you asked me. Man, this is awesome. I love it. Blah, blah, blah. What do you think? You honestly want to know? Because I'm going to tell you. But, I mean, it showed something that the other videos don't show.
Mm-hmm.
And if you put a description with it as well, number of people there. I mean, everything that we've already talked about.
Mm-hmm.
That just quadruples your cred.
Yeah. Yes.
And if somebody's out there like, I'm looking for somebody who's a keyboardist that has some knowledge of producing, engineering, this and that, and they see that video, and then they see that description,
Mm-hmm.
and then all your other stuff in behind it, because that's the hook. That right
Yeah.
there is the hook.
Yeah. You had mentioned too, you know, have like a list of things that you've done or like produced and everything. And I did create a little playlist like on Spotify of everything, like all the people that I helped like produce a track and everything. I think there's 68 songs in there. But here's the thing, though, is I get self-conscious about my producing abilities sometimes, where I'm like, I'm not sure.
Do you suck?
Sometimes. I mean, that's the nature of
That is
being a musician.
Genuine response. I like it. I like
Sometimes it's not great. Like, that's the thing, is like, I want to be good at some of the stuff, but sometimes you look back at it, and where I am now is such a different spot, and it's like, man, I did suck at that point.
Well, do you suck now?
Well, at this point, I feel like I'm better, but then in 5 years, I'm gonna be like, yeah, I really did suck. I mean, like, look, maybe I'll get my YouTube together, yeah, and
With time and experience, you always get better.
you always get better. That's
For
true.
where you are right now, as far as producing, do you suck?
No, I don't. I don't suck.
Okay. That's what I want. That needs to go in your description.
Do
don't
I suck?
at
Sometimes.
No, I mean, I'm looking for confidence in
Yes.
what you do.
Yeah. I was even talking
Because
about that.
apparently someone needs to tell you
Yeah.
you're good.
No.
Because it seems like you're striving to get better. And you know you can be better. But you're not confident with where you are right now.
Yeah.
Take-
That's a very fair
take-
assessment.
Producing, like learning the keyboard.
Mm-hmm.
Did you suck when you first started?
Yeah.
Are you good now?
Yeah, much better.
Okay, well, what about producing? Engineering,
I'm much better.
the drums, the bass.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing, though, is like, in comparison, this is the worst thing for a musician is comparison, and that is something I definitely struggle with. Is I moved to Nashville, and yeah, I was a producer. I was a producer in South Carolina, a small town, and people came to me all the time to, to get their music out there. And I was like I was the only option for miles, and that helped strengthen me in a lot of ways. But now I'm in Nashville, where a couple blocks down the road from where we are right now is some of the biggest studios in the world, and that's intimidating, but it shouldn't stop me from making what I need to make, and helping other people make what they need to make. But I get like, oh, well, you could be working with them, So that's I do have a tricky mindset on it, and I'll admit I have an air of laziness to myself too, that needs to go away. So that way I can fully flesh out my passion, because this is a big deal to me,
What's your passion? Producing, or keyboards, or bass, or guitar, or drums? What's your passion?
I mean, definitely keyboard, for sure. That is a passion of mine. But there is a part of me that really appreciates producing as well. I guess writing, creating my own, realizing my thoughts and playing and figuring out oh, this sounds really good. This scratches an itch.
In this entire conversation we've had, producing comes up a lot. So, kind of seems like you think about that a lot, and that means a lot to you. So why don't we say producing is a passion, not necessarily the only one,
right?
But it's a passion,
right?
So why not kind of lean in on that? Yeah, you're in a town of major producers, but what is the difference between them and you?
Experience.
Okay, so what's it going to take to gain that experience?
More experience.
So what is more experience going to take?
Putting yourself out there and making it right. Yep. Cheers.
I mean, I'm just being a devil's advocate and saying, you know what? If I was where you are, buddy, I'd be pounding the pavement. I'd be out there producing anybody who would give me a chance, because that's what it takes.
Right.
But I have no ability to produce a record or an artist or do anything like that. If I did, I would do it, but I don't. So my contribution to music is this podcast. Hopefully it's doing something. I mean, even if it's not, that's fine. Because I'm learning. I'm having a great sit down.
Yeah.
Every time I interview someone, or a band, or a group, or whoever comes in here and sits down and talks to me. I would like to talk to lighting people, people that do big production lighting, people who do nothing but live audio, people who do nothing but whatever. If it is involved with making music happen, I want to talk to you.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at right now. So, I mean, I will talk to anyone.
Yeah.
Because I love music so much, but I have zero involvement in music. And that's just where I'm at right now. So, and I do like to challenge people because my job is very challenging, and I get challenged every day. It's you got to open it, open it.
Yeah.
It.
There you go. Boom. Didn't want to waste the battery.
That's all right. But that's where I'm at with this.
Yeah.
I like to challenge artists, especially if I see the talent there. And it's kind of like, I have never promoted myself in anything. Never have. Just, I'm the type of person that I'm an introvert, extrovert.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an introvert most of the time, but if I'm in an environment where I need to be an extrovert, I can be.
Yes.
Buddy, I can be the party of the show. I can walk in with so much confidence, it's freaking rolling off my shoes. And I truly believe in myself at that point. But the situation dictates the person I am.
Are you a bit of a social cauldron a little bit? And what I mean by that is like the people that are around you, like different people that come into the picture, influence the way that you not behave, but the way that you like. I guess behave in a sense.
No.
No, not that. It's just like, is it a switch where you just like turn it on whenever you're ready?
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, I can sit here and talk to you and be completely comfortable, and I can open this door over here and step into a crowd of 1,000 people and be completely okay with it. And 6 songs in, I've made 4 new friends.
Mm-hmm.
Or 10,000 new friends. I mean, I like people.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm not going to rush out there and promote myself and try to be a social butterfly, because I'm not. If I need to be, I can be.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, I'm just not that type of person. And
That's a really, really good like spot to be in though. You know, just like being able to turn it on whenever you need to, but then being able to like reserve yourself whenever you need to as well.
well, don't you think most artists are the same way?
I feel the same way.
I've talked to a lot of artists that are they're not people that just want to go out there and be the life of the party.
Mm-hmm.
But when they get on stage and the lights come on and the amps are turned up,
Boom.
you look at me. I am putting on a show. I demand your attention.
Yes. Yes.
Until I say I'm done. And when the set's over, they walk off stage, and there it is.
Yeah. Now it's time to go to bed. Pack up. Go to bed.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, especially in Nashville. But it just...
It's exhausting.
Well, of course it is, because you give everything that you have to those people. If they care or if they don't, you've given them everything you have.
Mm-hmm.
And I respect that. And I think a lot more people should respect that.
Yeah.
And I hope that maybe through this show that people will see a different side of music and see that it's not like in the movies or in, I mean, the music game is so different and it's so hard.
It is. It is. Yeah.
And there's not a platform out there that lets people know what it's really like. And that's why I like doing what I do, because I could give two shits what the music industry thinks.
Mm-hmm.
I really could, because I don't care about that part of it.
Right.
I do care, but I don't. You know what I'm saying? I like artists. I like the people who are making things happen, who are creating.
Right.
I like to talk to the people who give these people jobs. If it wasn't for these people wouldn't be there.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I think sometimes these people up here forget about that. So I'm trying to...
You're highlighting the people that support those artists.
Yeah. And that's why I do this. And I mean...
It's such a big deal. It's such a big deal. Like, right now, the job that I'm in supports artists. And that's me working in the music industry. Like, I think that's why I'm a little bit complacent in the stuff that I'm doing, is because I'm like, yeah, I'm working in the music industry. But there's a lot of work that has to be done on my own stuff. And you've highlighted it and pointed it out, and I'm very thankful for it. I'm like I don't take this as like you're ragging on me at all. I take it as this is a constructive criticism of this needs to be better, and you're absolutely right.
Well, if I was in your position, I would hope somebody would tell me the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of why I'm here.
Yeah.
But I'm learning at the same time, and I enjoy these conversations. I said I need a minimum of 2 hours worth of content, and we're working on 4 hours.
Yes.
I mean, I hope I'm not holding you up from doing...
No, I mean, this is... Yeah, I marked off the whole day. I was like, I think we could talk for probably about, a couple hours. I was like, if we only talk 2 hours, that's short. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm glad I fulfilled your expectations. I mean, if you won't talk for another hour, I got a few more beers. So we'll just keep running.
Some Patreon, content. Apparently, another platform you need to get associated with. Maybe, I guess so. I think I really like the idea of, what we just talked about, because I don't think we ever technically started back up from intermission. I guess they'll just cut right in to wherever we were really starting to pick up.
That's why I leave everything on record.
Yeah, that's excellent. That's excellent, because I'm sitting there like, do we need to reintroduce anything? Is this going to be part of the take? And we just kept on talking, and I'm like, you know what? It's going to happen.
He does such good work. He can make all this blend and fold in, and I mean, that's what he does.
Does he make highlights too of just like shorts and everything?
Oh, yeah.
I'm really excited to see the shorts from this. Genuinely,
he produces the shorts or cuts in the shorts, and something that he does that I enjoy is if he's going to do a short about something that you really put some gold out there, he will take this shot right here where it's both of us, but he cuts me out.
Right.
Which I'm okay with. And it's just you putting out
zooms it in.
Solid gold.
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
It really promotes that moment in time where you are just being vulnerable but it shows the real you. And that's what I want. I mean, this isn't about me. I could give two shits. I really could. It's about you. It's about the people on that side of the table.
That's true, but I'm also fascinated by the philosophy that you have of creating this type of platform for the people who don't, because there's interviews for all the top artists and everything, but
They have NDAs, and the person on this side of the table don't ask these things.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck that.
Yeah, exactly. It's
how it goes. I mean,
but
that's where I'm at, for real.
The fact that you are taking the time to ask people who are on the sidelines making the show happen.
Well, you are the people that make this happen. Without you, there's no this.
Right.
I mean, let's be real.
I mean that's what I'm doing right now is like I'm vending merchandise, and merchandise is one of the biggest biggest things for an artist to have to fund their career. I think we were talking about that when we first met.
Yeah.
And you showed me this area. You were talking about like people get their shirts for $1 and then sell it for $20. That's their income, basically. We had a meeting today with our company, and I had mentioned that and said it, and asked the question again, like, hey, isn't merchandise like one of the biggest contributors to their income? And he was like, yeah, like it's a big part of it. I get to be a part of an artist's income of like making sure that they get their stuff, and that makes me really happy. That drives me to say I get to be a part of the music industry by delivering shirts. As silly as it sounds,
Well, I mean, like you said, if they pay $1 for it and sell it for 20, and they sell 100, do the math. And that's profit on top of, after taxes, on top of ticket sales and everything else. So you do that how many times in a month?
Well, if you're on tour, I mean, it's every day.
Yeah.
You're in a new venue. Like if you're touring for a month, that's 30 days of the numbers that you just presented. And that's just one specific shirt.
In 1 month.
In 1 month. Yeah. There were numbers.
Probably about as much as I make in a year.
There were numbers like certain artists will do about like 30,000 in a day. 30,000 in sales.
I've got to learn to play the bass. Write a song.
5 minutes every day. 5 minutes every day.
And I can smile, too. I can smile real big.
Eye contact, too.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
You're just staring at one guy in the audience like, you will listen to me.
For that amount of money... For that amount of money, absolutely.
Well, that's just the sales for a day, and then it gets split between the vendor and then the management, and then a portion of that goes to the artists themselves. So you don't get all the 30,000, but
of course.
So,
but that's crazy.
Isn't it crazy? It's messed up, isn't it? I've heard numbers too, like going higher than that for certain shows, depending on the popularity of the artist. And one of the artists that we work with, two in particular, Amy Grant and CeCe Winans. Amy's still touring pretty frequently, and she's selling a lot of stuff every time she goes out. It's crazy. She has so much merch. She has a lot of CDs too. It's so frustrating to organize all of them.
Well, she's a very talented person.
So talented, and she's so nice. My roommate.
I have met her so many times.
You've met her?
And she's so great. Well, off camera, I'm going to bring this up again.
Okay.
And I'm going to tell you something about her. But I've met her numerous times, and she's the same person off stage as she is on
Yep.
stage.
Mm-hmm.
And it's beautiful.
Yeah. My roommate tours with her. In fact, he's actually going on a tour with her in just a couple of days. And, he says that she's splendid. Just a wonderful person all around.
Down to earth.
Down to earth.
And that's what I love about certain artists is they're down to earth. And I've done music videos, this and that, and I've met a ton of artists who are so down to earth and humble and beautiful. And I've only met two that I was like, what? You're a monster. You're an absolute monster. And I'm done with
Wait,
it.
off the cameras and everything, what was the artist that you were talking about earlier? You're not even going to say it?
No, because I don't want to put it out there because these people
I get it.
may have had just a really bad day, and it culminated to the point where, you know what I'm saying?
Over a guitar string, though? That happens. That is a normal thing that happens.
But what about people that don't play instruments? I'm just
That's
saying,
the thing, though. It's like
I'm just saying I don't want to put it out there.
that's fair. That's fair.
because
That's good of you to do. I was just curious, but I understand for sure.
Because I don't want anyone that may or may not see this to hear that and say, "Oh, well, maybe I don't like this person."
Without
Because I live in
experience, though.
Nashville, and you see these people so much, and you see them out in public where things happen, and you know what? Everybody has a bad day, and
I don't know. There's a difference between having a bad day and being an asshole. You know?
well,
being
I
a
agree.
complete asshole. You know, the way that you were describing it.
I agree, but at the same time, sometimes shit happens. You blow up, and an hour later or the following day, you're like, yeah, it was kind of a dick move. I shouldn't have done that. But those people aren't around for you to apologize to. So you got to internalize that, forgive yourself, because if you dwell on it, it's only going to get worse. And I hope that that's what happened.
Yeah, we can only hope. But sometimes your instinct is right though, or sometimes you see into the lens of what actually happens, and that is no fun. I can't imagine being in a situation like that where someone's yelling at you for something that is out of your control. You know?
Well, like I said, I'm not a creative. I'm not up there doing it. I'm a consumer. And I don't know what happened before that. Maybe there was...
That's understandable, but for breaking a string, you know, like with me being in that situation, I mean, like, well, when you're also in that situation too, you have, if they're as big of an artist as you're saying that they have guitar techs. They have people who are ready on the dot to switch out your guitar, to tune your guitar, to do everything that you need to it. And they just, it's supposed to be a seamless transition. So if you're sitting there playing and your string breaks and they go ballistic on you, that's I don't get it. That baffles me. That baffles
It baffled me as well. And that's what made me dislike this situation based on that. It's like, I have never seen you pick up an instrument and play. So how do you jump on the people who are doing this?
Yeah, exactly.
Now, if you break out an instrument at a show and you sing and you play and it's effortless for you, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and you want to jump on that person, I'm going to give it a little more cred because, like, okay, so you've been there playing this instrument and you're jumping on this person. Maybe there's something else there, but I've never seen you with an instrument. These people are working with instruments.
And they're working for you.
That are probably going to fail at some point, and they are doing their best.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen plenty of artists out there that'll sing the entire show, big shows, and then last song, it's them and a guitar sitting on a stool with a mic in their face, spotlight on them from above. Everything else is completely shadowed, and they do it, and they play it, and they play the instrument, sing the song, make a mistake, and recover, and just keep rolling. That I respect.
Yes. Yeah. And that's where some of the cred comes from too, of just like, but yeah, if people are messing up on stage and they're not prepared and everything, that's where you warrant the blow ups. But that's a mechanical failure of an instrument. That baffles me. And yeah, we're beating the dead horse on it, but you know, it's just one of those things too. But I was curious, but like you said, it leaves a lasting impression, and then all of their music is soured from that point on.
Exactly.
It's insane. It's insane.
And I'm gonna leave it alone because it just. I'm gonna leave it alone because the person is so talented, or the people are so talented, and everybody loves them. And it's not fair for a little inside baseball to ruin the work that has been done. The sweat, the tears, the blood, the hours, the endless hours, you know? I mean, how many hours does a major musician put into a show that they don't get paid for?
Right. I mean, they put in so much time.
So in 1 week, most people work 40 hours, 50 hours, 60 hours a week.
It's probably it's close to 24/7 for some of these people. You know, not just the performing artists, is for this everybody working on that show. You know. So yeah, tension can be really, 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 really high. An example of that, you know, have you heard of Winter Jam? Are you familiar with that? Okay, so it's a culmination of Christian artists that all go out on tour all around the country. It's a big tour that lasts for probably about 2 months, I would say. They hit pretty much every major city that they can. And I went and delivered. We're in the middle of that show right now. We actually have a delivery to do tomorrow for them. Just supplying them with all their shirts and stuff, just restocking them. And the people that are working that show, just the merch side, are, I don't want to say like at each other's throats, but there's a lot of tension between them because there's so much stress going on at these shows, and they're working nonstop. If they're not working in the venue, they're on the bus having to deal with, each other and the rest of the crew. So it's almost like a 24/7 ordeal, and then they only get a day where they just get to recover and they don't want to even do anything. And then they immediately have to go back on the bus to a different location and do the whole thing over again. And the way that works is they're on the bus, they have a trailer hitched to it stacked with boxes, tons and tons of boxes of shirts and sweatshirts and all sorts of things. When they get to a venue, they have to unload a ton of those boxes and sweatshirt, just everything, take it inside the venue, set up the whole display, banners, tables, all the items displayed on the table, the prices. They open up, all the people come in, people are yapping and like getting angry with them about the price of something. They have to deal with that for 5 or 6 hours at a time. They finish late into the evening, have to tear down all of this stuff and put it back onto the bus late at night, and then go to the next venue, do it all over again the next day, and be trapped in that bus with all of those people that they could have been frustrated with.
Sounds like fun.
Sounds like you're having a lot.
Where do I sign up?
And so I went and delivered to them, and I know they were great, but they were also short with each other. Yeah. Not short with me necessarily, but like with each other, you could tell that they were tired. That exhaustion that you get. And I was like, oh, I'm glad I'm not working the show like you guys are.
Here, take this. I'm leaving.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. All I had to do is I just delivered it to them, and I get to help them stack it and organize it. And I'm like, here you guys go. Have a good time. I'm going home to my bed.
Okay, bye-bye.
Have a good rest of the night. And they're like, well, you got to leave in a couple hours in the middle of the night. So, yeah, that was, but they get paid a good bit. That's the nice thing.
Well, after you start promoting yourself musically.
Yes.
Why don't you come back and talk about that aspect? Because now I'm really curious. Because I've never even thought about the merch aspect of a big show.
Mm-hmm.
I bought plenty of merch at a smaller show where the performer's wife or husband is in charge of the merch table,
mm-hmm.
and it's literally this.
Yeah.
And I mean, what they have is right there. And they can pack it up in 5 minutes, including the table, and be gone. I couldn't imagine what a major tour or a major show, what that's like. And you know what? I'm really curious. I really am, because I've never thought about that. Mm-hmm. But there are people that make that happen.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a behind the scenes thing. and the amount of money that is transacted between fan and merch is probably ridiculous.
Yeah, it's insane. It is, again, it's one of their biggest forms of income. Like, that's why every artist has merch.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, like, if you want to make an income, you have merch. And that's not exclusive to just artists.
What about ticket sales? Is that not
Ticket sales go mainly to the venue.
really?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's all artists, all shows.
They take a huge cut. There's so many fees. There's so many, I mean, that's why ticket prices are so high, too. Is in order for the artist to make any type of profit, they have to set the prices super high. Because the venue is charging such a surplus in order for them to be able to rent from their space. I mean, on top of them getting a space within the venue. So they take a cut from the actual ticket sales on top of a down payment of, hey, this is your allotted time here.
Really? Well, apparently we're going to have to talk about that as
Maybe I should bring in my friend Walker, because he's the one who actually goes on these tours and sells. You know, I've done it a couple times just as a volunteer with them, but he'd be able to tell you more about that too, and he'd be a great one to talk to as well. So it'd be fun to have, you know, another person on the show too. But
well,
yeah, we should definitely talk about it, because in the next couple months, you know, I feel like we're growing a pretty significant amount. So
do you think you could get him in here before y'all get out of control for the summer?
Potentially, I'd have to talk with him, just see what his schedule looks like, because it's way different from mine, and summer is a big time for tours.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm trying to schedule everything beforehand, because summer sucks for me.
Really?
Yeah, because
Really?
everybody's like, oh, can't give you a date, 2 weeks out because I don't know. And I'm like, you know what? I'm fine with that. Because if somebody calls you up or you're hitting these venues up, and this is something else I would like to talk about, when, as an indie artist, you have to go out there and just pound these venues just to get one show. And the emails and phone calls and everything. It's not like, oh, hey, I would like to play this night. Oh, okay, cool. We'll get you scheduled. It doesn't work like that.
It's not like that at all.
And you have
You got to fight.
Yeah.
You got to fight.
Pound them, pound them, pound them, pound them. Then you got to promise them certain things. And it's a freaking negotiation. And then they're like, well, okay, come on in. But people don't know about that. And it's really, I'm not going to say it's nasty, because the venue has to make money. Otherwise, they can't pay their bills, pay their employees. So what's the point, right?
Right.
It's a game.
Right.
But it's a game that a lot of people don't know about. And I think people who are coming into the business need to understand the game before it smacks them in the mouth. And I have sat there and watched artists promote and promote and promote and promote a show, and still at the end of the night having to pay out, and literally walked away with less money in their pocket than when they showed up.
Yeah. Yeah, that's tragic to me.
But it happens.
It does happen.
And that's the game. I mean, pay to play. Pay to play is everything. And a lot of people don't know that. That's the ugly side of entertainment. I'm not going to say music. I'm going to say entertainment.
Yes.
Because entertainment can be a variety of things.
It is. Yeah.
And it's pay to play just like everything else.
Absolutely. Wow. Yeah, this was so much fun. This was such a great experience. I definitely was like, I wonder what we're going to talk about overall. And I think I just love the direction that all of this stuff went into. I'm definitely scared of what I've said. And listening back to it, I know I'm going to be like, that was so stupid. I can't believe I said that.
I mean, we're 4 hours and 10 minutes in.
There's going to be something that you can hopefully glean from it, you know?
What I've noticed is he's not going to put anything in here that would embarrass you other than maybe me kind of getting on your ass about
Yeah,
something.
that's totally fine. Yeah, you have full permission. Yeah, absolutely.
Nothing that... And if for some reason tomorrow you're like, you know what, I thought about what we said, can you cut this out? And I send it and he cuts it. This is all about you. If you're happy with the first hour and you're like, man, we had some beers and I'm not sure, cut out everything else. Okay, fine.
I felt like I got better the more beers we went in.
Well, good. I hope I got better because I've had a few, and we have sat here for
4 hours. That's crazy.
And that's what I love about this is every artist I talk to, I'm like, look, beforehand, I need at least 2 hours. And sometimes they're like, 2 hours. I don't know if we can sit there and 5 hours later, I'm like, guys, lights are cutting off. I mean, batteries are dying. Have we been here for 5 hours? Yes.
That's the beautiful part. Just have conversations.
And that's what I don't give it. I hope people watch this and they tune in to you and your music and your art. But as far as me personally, I could give 2 fucks. I'm having fun. I'm drinking beer. I love talking music. I love learning about music. And you put your name on my wall.
Mm-hmm.
I'm cool with it.
Yeah. No matter who watches, you know,
Exactly.
it's still an experience.
Now we'll talk about the rent and the bills. That's a whole separate thing. But you know what I'm saying? It's pay to play.
It is, yeah.
Pay to play. This is my pay to play part.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is. So
Well, this is so much fun, and again, like I said, just the fact that you ask these questions and you challenge your artists and the people who come in here makes them think about what they're doing and the importance of what they're doing, and it recognizes them and highlights them, and that is so special. And so I feel very seen. I feel very heard, and
well, I hope you're not embarrassed.
The only thing that I'd be embarrassed about is just the things that I've said, contradicting myself and being silly. You know?
Well, no, I mean, we've sat here for 4 hours. You are going to I guarantee you somewhere in here I've contradicted myself at least once, probably twice.
I can already remember where I contradicted myself. It was the balance between, well, first of all, playing in front of tons of people, and then I say at the end of the segment,
1,500. Oh, I know. I was like, oh. It's okay, though, because I think we built up to it.
We did build up to
I think
it.
we built up to it to where it's not a slight at you, but it's kind of a, oh, wait a minute. I didn't realize this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And when I saw that happening, I was like, let me unbury him from this, because just a few minutes ago, but at the same time,
I'm sitting there, yeah.
At the same time, I kind of wanted to say, you know what you just said back here and what actually happened, two different things.
Two different things.
But you're not seeing the big picture.
Right.
Because you're involved. I'm not involved, so I'm seeing the big picture.
Mm-hmm.
Let me.
I know. I was eating my own shirt at that point, where I was just like, oh, I'm being such a silly goose at that point. And then, well, no, but it's like, it's funny though, because it's good. It's great content at the same time, because it also gives great engagement. But then even at the end, where I was like, the question I want to be asked at some point is, do you want to go on tour? And it's like, I do want to do that at some point, but it's scary. And I think what I highlighted eventually, the way that we saved it is, yeah, my optimal position is me playing for small amounts of people, but what's going to grow me is playing for a lot of people. And, you know, like, that's not comfortable, but sometimes that's what has to happen, you know?
Well, a muscle only grows if it's broke down and rebuilt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Same thing. I mean, music, same thing.
Yep.
Right?
Stretching a muscle.
You got to break it down and rebuild it to make it bigger, to make it better. Am I right?
It's so right. It's so right. And I'm bad about pushing myself in those areas. And
well, if you don't want to
nervous.
push yourself, I know somebody that will push you. And buddy, I'm gonna tell you, it's no holds barred. I was being nice.
You were being so nice.
Being nice.
You were being so nice. I know the second that you probably send this person anything, they're gonna be like, "What?
No,
what the hell is this person doing?"
He is a great guy. No, seriously, he is a great guy, but he will break it down and say, "You have to do this." What I did, just where I kind of got in your ass. He'll amplify that.
Hey,
to push you harder.
You know, sometimes you need that. You need a good kick in the ass to just be like, get your shit together. You know?
Well, I think most indie artists need that.
Yes.
Because the talent is there. The creativity is there. Everything is there. They're just not getting their ass kicked to get it out there.
Mm-hmm.
Because in this town, every day is an absolute beatdown.
Mm-hmm.
If you're an indie artist that's not signed.
Right. Right.
And I think at some point you're just like, you know what? I can't. Well, if you want to reach the top of the mountain, I can't is the absolute worst thing that you can say or feel.
Mm-hmm. You're absolutely right.
He really gets under your skin because I can't is not an option.
Mm-hmm.
Because he shows you how you can. And he puts it out there and draws you a path and says, if you won't do it, pay me a little bit and I'll do it for you. And I mean, in the scheme of things, I don't know if you've talked to all these people that do promotions down here. He is way, way under it, but has the talent, and he'll promote you. Because, sorry, Harkos, He's like me. He's all about the artist. That's it. He's about promotion.
Mm-hmm.
He's about showing the creatives how to get out there and do it without signing these giant contracts.
That take away from who you are.
Exactly. And turn your creativity into a job, which in turn is a crutch. And then you come back here and you're like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
So, love him to death. He does phenomenal work.
I would love to get in touch.
He puts up with me, so
Yeah.
that's a
It's a great little business project too, of just like you funnel in people. We got connected and everything, and now we get to, because this year specifically, I told myself like, hey, this year you have to give it the shot. You have to work as hard as you can to make this work.
Well, it's February.
It's February, month 2 out of 12. That's awesome. And then you get to see the growth, from a year ago to now. And then when you're a year in the future, you get to look back at it too and just see everything that's happened. And then you can be like, yep, I told you.
Well, I think each show, even if maybe it doesn't show in the end product that gets put out on YouTube, TikTok, all that, even if it doesn't show in the end product, I feel more comfortable sitting here in front of that camera with this situation with the lighting and everything. One thing I've noticed just in talking to you, when the show started, my microphone was over here.
Mm-hmm.
But as we've talked, of course, I've had a few more beers. It's right in my face.
Yeah, it does help too, like when it's directly on and everything. And I think we've been moving it too. And
I don't know if I'm getting close to blowing my audio out, but you know what? That's fine because it's not gonna blow it out.
yes, you have hopefully you have a compressor on it too to keep it safe. And
yeah, it's doing a good job because I can't. Thank God. But I'm actually to the point where I want the microphone in front of my face. I want to talk to you, and I'm going to get a little aggressive with my questions. Not in a bad way, but I'm a devil's advocate because I'm
you got to challenge the people that are sitting in the spot.
And the more I challenge you, the more I enjoy the show because I like it.
Yeah.
My full-time job, I get challenged every day. And it makes me better at what I do.
Mm-hmm.
And I see that. And I think there are so many artists out there that need to be challenged because the talent is there.
Mm-hmm.
They're just not there. It's the wall. They've hit the wall.
Yep.
They have the ability to break through the wall with ease, but they just can't do it. So I want to be the gnome at the bridge that asks questions. If you answer my questions, you can cross. If you don't answer, there's a movie. But it wasn't a gnome.
Answer me these riddles 3.
Oh my God. And so, you know what? I'm going to use that in my next show. Marcos, cut that out. It's going to be a point.
Don't cut it out.
I'm going to take that. I'm going to answer. And I'm probably going to ask it just like that.
Good. Please do.
That's awesome.
It'll be
In
great
fact,
for reels.
I'm going to do it right now.
Oh. Sure. Let's do it. Let's practice this right now.
You just ask the question, answer it.
Which question did I ask?
Answer me these riddles 3.
What's the riddle?
You're an artist. Everything you do is a riddle.
I guess so. What? So, elaborate. What should I answer as an artist?
Okay. All right.
Yeah. You can be the troll master. The gnome at the bridge.
Why should I listen to your music?
Oh, that's an awesome question. Oh man. Do you like piano?
Okay, yeah. But I mean, what makes you different from anybody else?
I feel that my keyboard arrangements are different than a lot of people's. Something that most people don't realize is that when you hear piano on a recording, it is something called MIDI. So like, it's basically on a computer program, you can basically like type it in. And it makes like all of your piano stuff like perfect. It's basically just musical data that is transported into a computer, and then you can add an instrument within the computer to be able to play that back and adjust the MIDI information. When I play, I play my stuff. So it gives a very real response rather than a very precise, exact like moment in time. Not like there's anything wrong with that, but kind of what we were talking about earlier is like some of those little bits of imperfection makes the personality of the song greater. Whenever I play, I don't really do too much adjustment to my playing. Like what I play is what you hear in the song. So, and I feel like that's not done nearly as much with especially with keyboard and piano stuff. It's typed in. So that would set me apart from other artists these days. And hopefully that would, intrigue you to listen. I also, I don't know. I've thought about, and maybe you can give me some pointers on this too. But I thought about streaming, like creating a song at some point. Like the fact, just like what it takes to build a song from the ground up.
Can we start now?
Now.
I mean, right now? Has anyone else done what you're thinking about?
I'm sure they have,
Have you seen it?
Not immediately. I'm sure if you looked for it.
Okay, well, see, you're already saying, oh, maybe somebody else done this. Man, fuck it. Jump on it. Do it yourself. Make it your own.
Right.
Tomorrow.
Yeah. I have the ability to stream too, which is something I've been thinking about, but I just haven't executed.
Why?
That's a great question. That is a great question. I don't know.
Are you lazy?
Yeah, probably.
Do you not believe in yourself? I mean, we're a few beers in. I'm going to ask some real questions.
This gnome is asking some tough questions.
No, I'm being serious, man. You got the talent. Do you not believe in yourself?
Sometimes it's hard, especially like when there's, so many artists who are doing the thing. But I know that if I put my mind to it, I can do it. But one thing that really like halts me is the process is really frustrating at times. Like it is egregious at the times. Like if you're recording a short or something and you're trying to get it perfect, the amount of mistakes and the amount of takes that you have to do before it's right is it takes so much longer for just a 15 to 30 second video. Sometimes
You're not auditioning for a part in a musical. You are showing life as it happens in that moment.
that's true.
It might be a horrific video where the sun is just coming in the morning and it is just absolutely awful because it is messing up everything on your camera.
Mm-hmm.
But when I look at that as a consumer, as a fan,
Mm-hmm.
I don't care about the video if the audio is on point.
Mm-hmm.
If you're saying, this has been bugging me for 2 days, I'm gonna play it. My camera is over here, and it is what it is.
Yeah.
The creative aspect is there. I don't care about the video. If the audio's right, we can do something with the video later and make this professional.
We can get Harkos to fix my video.
He fixes mine all the time. For real. I mean, the creation needs to be on point.
Mm-hmm.
The video, whatever. I mean,
I was hearing something that, video you can get away with the quality, but the audio is like the most important part. Like that's what keeps your audience engaged.
Have
Your
you
audio is good.
ever watched music video? Be it MTV, CMT, whatever the case. I mean, so the video itself is doing, okay. But you already know the song.
Mm-hmm.
And you like the song.
Yeah.
And you tuned in because of the song. The video wasn't great, or maybe the video was freaking amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But you were there for the music. Because the music is all that matters.
Right. It is. It is. So, yeah, man, it's such a struggle to figure out exactly what is the holdup.
You are the whole.
Yeah, getting in my own way.
So, what are you going to do to rectify this situation?
You got to get out of your own way.
Gonna whoop your own ass and move forward?
Sometimes, you have to do that. You have to whoop your own ass in order to be able to move forward and to put music out.
So what matters? I mean, what really matters to you? Music or someone's perception of you?
I get really selfish with my music sometimes.
Why?
I've noticed, because it's easy to play for myself, but it's hard to sometimes capture that moment. and send it off, because then I'm like, oh, well, this was great for me, but I don't know if it was good for everybody else.
How are you going to find out?
How am I going to find out? That's the thing. That's the problem. That is the issue. That is the issue at hand, where I just need to let it go and be like, because I know people want to listen. And I feel like I'm robbing people of those moments that I get to have. Because there are times where I'm like, oh, this is great. I really enjoy this. Well, I guess this is just going to happen between me and my keyboard, and nobody else is going to be able to tune in ever. And so, I don't know. Yeah, it's terrible. I'm a villain.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna put it out there in this way I feel. So, what the fuck is the point?
But yeah.
I mean, seriously, what the fuck is the point?
Right.
Of you doing that and saying this was amazing, but no one else gets to experience it.
Yeah. It's like a
Sucks
tree
for
fall. Yeah, a tree falls in the forest and nobody's there to hear it. Did it make a sound? Kind of situation.
So why?
Yeah,
Why do it?
exactly. And that's where I'm sitting there, like, I'm being selfish at times, where it's like I need to put in the work.
That is exactly it. You're being selfish. You're not sharing your art with everyone out there who could benefit from it. Just saying.
Yeah,
That's
I think that's accurate. Absolutely. And it's so frustrating too, because you just sit there and you're like, well, you need to get this done. You need to get this done. And with each fleeting moment, each song that rings out in your head, because there's so many songs that populate in my head while I'm in this space, but I'm not in front of any type of recording equipment. And then going home, it's like I need to capture that in some way and then make it into something. And like this, I'm telling you too, this conversation is really inspiring a lot. Like, it's really highlighting what needs to happen, the steps that need to happen. And I hope, like, what we can do in the future is come back a couple months later and just there's a whole catalog of things that are happening and ways that you can find me and find the stuff that's happening.
well, I mean, all this starts tomorrow. So either you do it yourself or you hire people that are going to do it for you for real, because they want to promote you. He wants to promote you. And he wants to get your art out there. And he wants to do what's best for you. And he takes a little bit of payment on the side to make it work. Compared to the people down here, they're going to take everything you have.
Yeah.
And give you half-ass. Probably. No, I'm going to be real. They're going to give you.
This is the time.
work.
We're in the after show.
Yeah.
Patreon.
They're going to give you half-ass work. Unless they think this person is going to make me a shit ton of money, so I'm going to promote the fuck out of them. That's where we're at right now in the show. Where Harkos is going to say, you know what? This person is talented. I see their talent. They really have the ability to move forward. They just don't know how. I know how to move them forward. So he's going to say, you can do this on your own. I'm going to give you a couple of prompts if you want to go out there and do it yourself, or I'll do it for you for a much lower price than these people out here are going to do.
Right.
And he will actively promote you. So, I mean, that's the post production. You know, this
This is the bonus scenes.
But you know, I mean, it seems like with you and like most artists, you're so introverted. Ooh, I'm really okay. Well, you know what?
Go for it. Speak your truth.
You guys and gals are so introverted that you don't see what I see. I'm a consumer.
Mm-hmm.
And I see the talent that you allow me to see because you don't promote yourselves. And if you would promote yourselves, like all these folks downtown who are paying big money for these companies to promote them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how they're making more money. You have the talent. I mean, fuck, the video you showed me, for real, why the fuck am I not seeing that? Every time I type your name in, why does that not come up? Why?
Yeah.
Because you're not promoting.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not going to promote yourself, why don't you send all your shit to somebody who will promote you in the right ways?
Mm-hmm.
I do. I send all my shit to him. He cuts shorts. He does everything.
Right.
He promotes me. I don't do it because I don't feel like what I'm doing is worth my extra time to promote the same way you do. I will create content, and then tomorrow when I look back at it and say I need to promote, I need to do this, I need to do that,
You get self-conscious because that's how I feel. It's
Exactly.
like this wasn't that great. Maybe I should trash it.
So why do it? Well, do you know what I'm paying in rent a month? You do. I have cable in behind this wall. Do you know what I'm paying a month for that? I mean, you know, you have a base knowledge of what I'm paying a month here.
Mm-hmm.
Who's paying that? Me.
Mm-hmm.
Do I have subscribers, fans, whatever, helping me pay? Fuck no. I'm paying a lot of money out of pocket just to do what I'm doing. You know, a lot of people say this is, oh, it's an expensive hobby. I mean, maybe it is, but you know what? It's a hobby I enjoy.
Right.
So you got to look at it from that aspect. That's where I'm at. I mean, it's an expensive ass hobby, as you know, because you're here. But at the same time, I enjoy it. I enjoy talking about beer. I enjoy sitting in front of this mic talking about music.
Yeah.
I really enjoy music.
Mm-hmm.
So it's worth it.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. I will send you my next draft in my music.
I mean, the talent is there. You're just not promoting, man.
I know.
And if you won't do it, I know somebody that will and make you look good doing it.
You know, I think that little extra push definitely helps too. But this is a nice thing though. Is like if anybody can take anything from this, is like you can be the most talented person in the world. I'm not saying that about me, but just like you can be extremely talented, but you have to promote yourself. Otherwise, people won't see it.
Exactly.
So,
what's the point?
What's the point if you aren't promoting yourself? So,
Or having someone do it for you.
Yeah.
If you won't do it, pay somebody that will. Otherwise, what's the point? It's an expensive hobby.
Mm-hmm.
Just like this is for me. It's an expensive hobby. But at the same time, it's a hobby I love. if you want to call it a hobby, it's a hobby I love, and I'm willing to pay for it.
But it's all, like I said earlier, it's also a helpful hobby because you're building the people that sit in the seat up. You're building them up.
I hope so.
I mean, yeah,
really
you're
do.
highlighting them. You're showing them like what it's all about, and so that's a big deal. So I appreciate that a lot.
Okay. We are 5 hours.
We've hit the 5-hour mark. This is a great time.
To call it quits.
It's time to call it quits.
Oh, I got to shut all this down, go home, deal with the dog. Oh, she's going to be mad when I get home, but I also got to go to bed.
Me too.
I mean, I had a good time.
This is great. Thank you so much for all of this. This was all the beer too. I appreciate that.
Just
Do you need help cleaning up or
no,
anything?
Just leave it.
Are you sure? Come on.
Yeah, I'll come deal with it tomorrow when I get all these SD cards and upload everything. Like I told you earlier, the energy I take from this, when it's done and I hit stop on all this, I need to go home.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah. That's a great way to do it.
And I'll come back tomorrow and deal with this. Because if I stand here and try to deal with this now, it just builds it up even more.
Mm-hmm.
And then I start questioning. I should ask this. I should have done that. I should have done this. Then my anxiety builds up.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck. Now I got to go home and deal with all that. And that takes so much longer than to just say, you know what? My set's up. Off. I'm out.
Yeah. That's an excellent way to do it. So, well, thank you so much, Chris. You're the man. I can't wait to talk again.